Greetings everybody, this is Serpentine451 and welcome back to another episode of Weeb Warriors. It's just gonna be me again this week. Jordan had some work-related things that he had to take care of today, so it's just gonna be me. And besides, it's not the usual time I record these episodes, simply because I napped a little too long and I woke up at the same time we usually record, so that's why. But let us get to the reviews, shall we, folks? Very well. Let's start with Vinland Saga episode 15, I believe. Yes, after Yule. Essentially, the big point of the episode here is Ragnar is now dead, murdered at the hands of Ashkelid and his crew, simply to make Canute more of a viable prince, so to speak, because Ashkelid views Ragnar as someone who's holding the prince back. And we also got some scenes with Borku and his plan to take on the forces of Ashkelid and the crew. And that's essentially it in the episode. It's still well animated, still beautifully shot and made. And all this is just breathtaking. Another anime that's actually breathtaking is another show that was less. Sorry. And I let out a yawn there. That being Fire Force episode 13. Well, the one thing that we need to know, folks, well, you need to know anyway, is that the town that District 7 is watching over is in flames and thrown into chaos, thanks to the White Clad basically messing with people's minds and turning other people into infernals. With Benimaru on his own looking into what the 8th have been telling him, and Conroe finishes up his story at the start of the episode. Everything else, even a fight between two of the White Clan members, the Archer and the Bleeded Man, ensues between Shinra and Arthur. Still, everything looks great. And everyone is just facing off against their opponents. Very well. But you know what? I think it's very interesting. Still very... I mean, who doesn't want to find all that stuff interesting, you know? Next up, we shall talk about oh, okay. Let's talk about Dr. Stone, then. A Tale for the Ages. Basically, we meet Senku's father, Byakuya, and it's all about him in the International Space Station with a few other characters. And he's about as goofy and eccentric as his son is. And it's great. And the fun part is that it was announced that he's getting a spin-off manga dedicated to his adventures, which is cool. I find that really awesome and fascinating. And we also got to see a subversion of the bitchy idol archetype in Lillian, which is just awesome. And we got to hear a song completely in English. That is also amazing. But you know, folks, that's the one thing about Dr. Stone that I just really enjoy. It's so fascinating. It's so much fun. to see Senku and his crew basically pull through with victories, and to have that be a hereditary thing is just equally as awesome. But let's also get to another show, is Oresuki, episode 3. Since I actually looked into this, and the source material is about as dark as I never expected it to be. Essentially, it's the end of the cliffhanger of the previous episode, where Sun-chan and the girls that are accompanying him, Cosmos and Himari, confront Joro on what the hell he's doing in the library with Pansy, which leads to them just arguing and not becoming friends anymore, and just putting Joro in a position where he is the most hated person in the school. And it's a lot worse in the manga, I'll tell you that much. It's horrifying. Just the terrible lengths that he's gone through, that they kind of played off in the anime. But Pansy was able to get the truth out of Sun-chan, and how Sun-chan is ultimately jealous of Joro of a thing that happened in their middle school days, where a girl pretty much fell in love with Joro and not Sun-chan. Which, at the end of the episode, everything is cleared up, and by the end of the episode, Pansy reveals her true form in the form of the big titty girl Sun-chan talked about falling in love with. And that Joro is not a big fan of her personality, but likes her exterior very much. But still, Oresuki is a show that does subvert the expectations of the harem genre, which I really enjoy. Even though it's a drama-filled mess house in its original form of the manga. Well, that being the manga. And I think that's just brilliant. I'm not a real big fan of drama most of the time, but hey, I can enjoy it when it's done in a certain way that doesn't make me uncomfortable. Then let's get to My Hero Season 4. And my god, folks, I just love this adaptation of the season, where we have Chiaki introduced, and his ability overhaul, well, his quirk overhaul, used to just murk Big Sis Magne. I mean, that poor girl just ended up nothing but legs, and Compressed lost an arm. That's the first half of the, good majority of the episode. And then the second half of the episode is Midoriya enlisting the help of Gran Torino, All Might, and Togata to get into the internship program, which it all landed in the hands of Togata to help him out with that. And we got to meet Sir Night-Eye, the former sidekick of All Might, and his sidekick, Bubble Girl. And even though I knew of this ahead of time since I actually read that part in the manga, the tickle machine is not sexist. Why are we just projecting our woke feelings of, like our own sensibilities here in the States and in the West to a Japanese produced show, and giving flack to not only the creator of the manga, Horikoshi, but also to Studio Bones? It's deplorable, guys. You should stop, honestly. Why do we take these things seriously? I may never know. Maybe a topic for a soapbox discussion, but I already have something in mind. But still, great episode. It's all good. Just amazing. My Hero is a good show. It's a good manga, too. Why do we have to do a lot of things to be toxic? I may never know, but still, the episode was great. And finally, let's get to We Never Learned season 2, where it's all about Rizu. She cuts her bangs, and she is so self-conscious of Nariyuki noticing. She does everything in her power to kind of hide that fact, but him, being a dense boy, didn't realize it at first. And he tries his best to really get it right and to make up for his transgressions. So he does his best to figure out what's got her all upset. And the girls, when he doesn't realize that there's something different, just give him hell, and that's hilarious. And then the second half of the episode is dedicated to Sekijo, who, well, we know more of Sekijo's backstory now, and it's pretty sad. Someone who is so intelligent, so far beyond her years, gets treated like she's a freak and an anomaly. And when she actually, by the suggestion of her school nurse in middle school, she goes to take a test to further her ambition to get a challenge. And that's where she first meets Rizu. And she ultimately, much like falling in love with somebody, she wanted to follow Rizu into high school, to go to the same high school as her, because Rizu said something so motivational to her back then at that test that she just ultimately wanted to be her friend even more. And all of this was related to Nariyuki because he ended up being there at a certain point in time, just out and about when the two girls were trying to get pencil cases. For Rizu, that is. But at the end of the episode, both Rizu and Sekijo get the same pencil cases but in different colors. And it's wonderful. The show is wholesome. I mean, there are a lot of shows that can be wholesome, but the soapbox discussion will not be as wholesome, because we will be talking about the spooky side of things. Just unlimited horror. Now, when we talk about horror, like I said a couple of weeks ago, the horror genre in anime is a bit odd. But let's talk about monsters in particular that are connected to the horror genre. And I think one of the things that we should talk about is zombies. Yes, zombies. There are actually quite a few anime that have zombies in them. Notable examples is This a Zombie?, Sakareya, and by far the most extreme of these, High School of the Dead. And High School of the Dead is so much fun and it's enjoyable. But what makes all these different anime that are connected with zombies so great when they're so drastically different from each other? Well, it's all in the context and what other genres are mixed into horror, the horror that is zombies. Sakareya is a drama where it's simply like Frankenstein's monster. Well, the story of Frankenstein, where our protagonist, who has a lot of cat-like qualities to him, essentially stumbles upon a way to reanimate the dead. And due to his love and just complete and utter fetish for zombies, he was able to revive a girl that was ultimately killed for meeting him into a zombie. And it took a while for her zombie side to kind of be tempered and they ultimately fall in love with each other, and it's, in a way, beautiful. Granted, I haven't seen this show in a very long time, so some details are a bit muddled. And in a way, that's okay. One of my favorite harem shows of all time, actually, is This is Zombie, where the protagonist is a zombie, and he meets a lot of other kooky characters, like ninja vampires and a magical girl. It's great, it's very funny. And we have High School of the Dead, which pretty much plays the zombie, plays like a zombie movie, like a Romero zombie movie, and it's great. It's so enjoyable in that sense. But when it comes to all that, what out of the examples of the shows that I talked about here, oh, very briefly, of course, is essentially my favorite? Well, my favorite depiction of zombies. Well, there are other shows that have zombies in them that I may have never came across before, and I want to see them for myself, but tentatively, even though I love High School of the Dead because it's so bonkers and insane, I just gotta give it to Is This a Zombie? It's comedic, it's enjoyable, and it's a hell of a lot of fun. And that's more or less my preference. So next week in the Soulbox discussion, I'm mostly going to be focusing on one show and how they did this effectively. But we're going to be talking about ghosts, and more particularly ghost stories, and more or less how Japan used ghost stories, and how one show kind of exemplifies this notion. And it's personally one of my favorite anime of all time, if not in my top 5. I mean, it's one of my favorite pieces of horror media, and the horror elements in it are very minuscule, admittedly, but it's also one of the best romances you can ever have or ever bear witness to. That's essentially it, folks. Another short episode of Weeb Warriors with just a little old me. Hopefully Jordan will be here in a couple of weeks from now, and I may actually do a review of the show that I'm alluding to for next week's episode in the near future. So this has been Serpentine 451, and I hope you guys join me for another time into the, well, okay, scratch that. I hope you guys join me next time, where we might get even spookier, because this Halloween, well, this would be the week of Halloween, because I'm not going to be posting any videos for Halloween, essentially, but I will be doing a lot of bulk recordings, folks, and look out for that.